Hi everyone, and you better believe that I am heated today because I've been talking about this for nearly a year now, and we've come to the end of it, and I was proven my initial reactions to all of this right. And I just have so much to say about this. Okay, Fantastic Four, First Steps, the MCU's foray into the Fantastic Four, is bombing at the box office. Why? Because it is having a dramatic drop in its second weekend. Now, its first weekend was already coming on behind Superman, but as you could see with the week going out in front of it, it just was not having the good holds that Superman had. And in the end, they were projecting that it might have a 60% drop, which is what I said in my last video, but that projection increased and increased. And now they are projecting that Fantastic Four could have a 66 or even a 67% drop in its second weekend, a near 70% drop for Fantastic Four. And one of the biggest terrible statistics about this is its biggest day on its first weekend was the Friday, and it has dropped. Its second Friday was an 80% drop from that. This is dramatic, and I think it could be even worse than this because what's been happening with Fantastic Four is as low as their projections are, they have been coming in lower. It's the opposite of Superman, where their projections kept coming in just a bit higher than it all. This is bad. This is really bad, and this has caused such a conversation online. Why? Because this is a Marvel movie, one that got a good Rotten Tomatoes score, was not panned by people, and it's still flopping at the box office because Fantastic Four's break-even point might be around $500 million, and it might get that still. But that's still really bad box office for a Marvel movie that was supposed to be really positively received. But I think with this trajectory, it might not even get that because in a time when there is no competition, there's not going to be any competition for months. We're already seeing just all the money evaporate from this film. Like, I think it could still get less than $500 million. So this is the first year in, like, the last 16 years of Marvel where they have released 3 flops in a year. There was nothing in between that staved it off, like Guardians 3 or Deadpool and Wolverine or Spider-Man No Way Home. All were released in times where the year was not just completely flops. But this year, 3 flops from Marvel that they put out. And this is just kind of creating a big moment online because this is the movie that would seemingly have no excuse for it. And so it's making a lot of people realize, oh, maybe there is superhero fatigue, or maybe people really have abandoned Marvel to the point where it doesn't matter if they release something good. Well, Fantastic Four was not good, as I said. If you go in thinking that it's going to be an unmitigated disaster, then you're not going to get that. But I'm seeing, and we all do this, the box office analysts, we all just become box office analysts all of a sudden describing what has happened with this movie. But I've been on, covering this movie extensively for its entire marketing campaign. So let's get into why this movie is bombing. And it's not simply, it is because people are fatigued by Marvel for reasons that I went over in the last video. Please click on that. I already went over a lot of this. But yes, people have left Marvel for reasons I gave in the last video. But this movie is not going to do anything to bring people back, even if it can be seen as just a mid-film. The problem with Fantastic Four, we'll get into the actual movie itself, but just look at the marketing campaign of this film. It is not that you couldn't have made the Fantastic Four work. I vehemently believe you could have gotten them to work. I read something earlier this year, Fantastic Four versus X-Men. It was an excellent comic. And all the 4 characters there were done so well, and there was a depth to each and every one of them. And I've been saying since the beginning, you did not do the Fantastic Four right. You know what got more hype than the movie this year did? Fantastic Four appearing in Marvel Rivals. What did Marvel Rivals do to make the Fantastic Four really appealing? Well, first of all, they made the Fantastic Four really hot. Let's not beat around the bush there. Mr. Fantastic and Sue Storm were really hot in their character designs, and that got a ton of discussion. But beyond that, the Fantastic Four were characterized exactly how they are in the comics, with those very loud, bright personalities that everyone wants to see. In a game that portrayed it with the tone of the Marvel Universe. Didn't try to change anything, didn't try to make any major changes to what these characters are. It just went with the tone of the Marvel Universe that the Marvel Comics people created. The Fantastic Four, throughout its entire marketing campaign, did everything the exact opposite of that. It cast actors who were mid, who are not fitting for their roles, who were not exciting to people in these roles. They didn't even do a screen test or a chemistry test for them. They were too old for their roles. There was no casting here that was exciting for their roles. There was, dare I say it, there was no sex appeal to this movie. And that is necessary to getting these big action movies to sell. People like seeing hot people in films. So there was no one who really looked great in their roles. They all look at Marvel Rivals with those sleek costumes versus this with their frumpy sweaters. Pedro Pascal was completely miscast as Reed Richards. And guys, do you know what this box office means? It means that we were right. Pedro Pascal is not a draw at the box office. He never was. People have totally rejected him. He was completely miscast as Reed Richards. But everything about this movie, I could sum it up. I could sum up this entire marketing campaign of fighting what the audience wants. That's the entire thing. Marvel Rivals is an example of giving the audience exactly what they want. They want an exciting Marvel game with action sequences. The characters are who they're supposed to be because those personalities work. Those personalities are very distinct and fun, and there's a lot of chemistry with them. And there's hot people. I'm not gonna get rid of that because we need to get back to the bare bones where we used to market to people's basic instincts to sell films. That's how they used to do it, and that's what they need to do. This is doing what a lot of Hollywood has been doing for years, and that's why they're losing people, is they're trying to change what people want. They're trying to say, no, you don't want that, you want this. And that's the whole thing with trying to market Pedro Pascal in this movie, is they keep saying that, no, he's the masculinity that you want. He's the heartthrob that women want. Women showed up with Jason Momoa in the first Aquaman. They thirsted after him. They weren't doing that with Pedro Pascal. We said, no, this guy's creepy. There's no masculinity in this guy. We don't want this guy. And he failed, and he didn't bring people to the movie. But just everything about Fantastic Four. It's like, Johnny Storm is this hot rod, womanizing, devil-may-care character in the comics. That's not appropriate for where we are culturally. We need to tone him down. And I'll say they did tone him down in the movie. They said, well, he still hit on female Silver Surfer. If you know the personality that Johnny Storm is supposed to have, you would know he is very subdued, very toned down in the movie. All the characters are. All of them. And so they said, no, that's not where we are culturally. Women don't like that. Yeah, we do. But you didn't listen. You said we like you like Pedro Pascal, right? No, we don't. You kept offering us stuff that we don't want, saying, no, yes, you do want this. Guess what? That's not how you sell a film. You sell a film by giving the audience exactly what they want. That's why I was joking the other day about Just Do the Savage Land. It'll give people what they want. Dinosaurs and hot people. Anyway, that's the entire movie. But people want Norrin Radd Silver Surfer. You did female Silver Surfer. Was she fine in the movie? I guess she was fine. Doesn't matter. It wasn't accurate to the comics. It wasn't accurate to what people want. And this is just the basic stuff that you have to sell films with. You have to give the audience what they want. It looked like an entirely mid-Marvel movie. You put so much effort. And then that's the thing. The marketing of the film was awful. It was all of these interviewers doing these weird Twitter drag queen speak.
Do you think it's safe to say that Reed is the first capital D daddy in the MCU?
Are there no other fathers in the MCU?
Oh, I mean daddy.
Get right into you, Vanessa. You've kind of become a social media icon for your force-filled, snatched fierceness face.
Oh, God.
Trying to get people on board with the film when everyone was cringing about it. The most I saw the internet talking about this was to mock Pedro Pascal and Vanessa Kirby because they're constantly touching each other and feeling each other up in interviews. It's not appealing. This relationship that they had in interviews, this weird thing where this person who's her co-star in his 50s has to be led by her by his hand, and there's all these weird interviews about daddies and Vanessa Kirby's C-face and all that kind of stuff. People taking off their clothes, people feeling each other up. No one wanted that, but that's how you chose to market your movie. It's not appealing. It's not appealing. So, we've covered the horrible marketing scheme for this movie where you're still fighting your audience, you're still not giving them what they want. Then how was the movie? It was mid. That's just the way it is. Let's compare it to Fantastic Four 2005. Fantastic Four 2005 had a ton of problems with it. A ton of problems with it. But in the midst of all those problems in a film that ultimately didn't work for people, it did get some things right, like the casting for The Thing in his arc, or the casting for Mr. Fantastic, who completely clears Pedro Pascal. That was perfect casting. The new Fantastic Four movie might not have the problems that the 2005 one does, but it doesn't do the things that it did right either. There is no character development in Fantastic Four 2025. No character development whatsoever. No one gets an arc. They didn't screen test the actors, and it shows. There is no charisma from anyone. They are either inaccurate to their comic book counterparts, in the case of Pedro Pascal and Ben Grimm, or they're just subdued versions of those characters. You did not cast actors of high caliber for these roles. Perhaps you couldn't even get someone, and then they had no chemistry with each other. Pedro Pascal and Vanessa Kirby, no matter how much they touch each other on the carpets, they had no chemistry with each other. And Pedro Pascal was the worst part of the film, completely unfitting for this role as just a sad man. It's bad writing in the film, too. Your most interesting concept of the baby and having to protect the baby or the world, you've resolved it in just a speech. You've been doing that in a lot of your movies lately. You've resolved things with a speech. You didn't want to actually confront it. So no character development. You didn't play with your most interesting concept, and you had one action scene in the entire movie that was interesting. It's mid. Thoroughly mid. It's a thorough nothing of a movie. So when you've got characters that have been done wrong so many times in the past, and you just release a movie after so many bad Marvel films that's really just a nothing, of course people aren't going to come back. Of course people aren't going to come back. So when you see all these people acting confused about why this movie is bombing, it's really not that confusing. Brand damage and a terrible marketing campaign and a thoroughly mid film at the end of it. Just because it was not as disastrous as Captain America Brave New World does not mean that it's a great film. People need characters that they can connect with. That's why when I was done with this film, I'm like, would I watch a sequel to this? No, because these character and actor pairings, there's nothing that's connected me to them. I don't even know where they could develop them in the future because of how they've been established here. So this is a big reckoning moment for them, where people have finally reasoned, oh, we got our Rotten Tomatoes score back. Like, this is almost like the biggest, the worst case scenario for them, because now they've gotten their supposed positive reception back, but no one's returning. So what do they do now? They're finally starting to reason that people are gone from these movies. Like, that's what I've been noticing here. People only cared about my Fantastic Four videos if there was controversy behind them. And the reason why there's any kind of audience for that is because people are so disillusioned and even angry after all the bad things that have happened with Marvel. And kids are moving on. They're not going to see these movies. They like stuff like K-pop Demon Hunters, which is getting all the kids on board with it. They're moving on for these movies. I mean, Marvel hasn't made a movie that's really marketed to kids in a long time. But I mean, if you look at something like Spider-Man Brand New Day, which I think is going to be fine, not just as a movie, but at the box office as well, it's just a straightforward superhero movie that they're marketing here. It's Spider-Man, he's going to be fighting Hulk and Punisher, and then there's some real Spider-Man villains behind it all, and it's what people want. And say what you will about Sony and their handling of Spider-Man, but they've always been pretty good at understanding the core of Spider-Man's character and preserving that brand. They've been very good about protecting the brand of Spider-Man. And so when I look at something like Spider-Man Brand New Day, I'm like, yeah, this just sounds like a straightforward, conventional Spider-Man movie. Probably won't blow my socks off or anything, but I'll probably enjoy it. Versus Fantastic Four, which is actively fighting against who these characters are in the comics and doesn't want to do them and can't even figure out how to make their powers work on screen. Marvel Studios, Disney Marvel, Spider-Man is going to be done by Sony Marvel. It doesn't know how to do a film anymore for people. It doesn't want to make the changes that people would actually come to see. You know what I would suggest? Beyond making sure that you actually develop your characters, that you actually hire actors who are charismatic in their own right and have charisma and chemistry with each other. Yeah, you need to do that. That's the main thing. You need to develop your characters actually so people care about them. But I would advise stuff like introduce maybe a little sex appeal back into your movies, because we've seen that actually works, because that's what people want. Allow your characters' personalities, as flawed and as sparky as that might be, let those flaws come out, even if they're a little bit uncomfortable. Just allow us to see that. No one wanted your sanitized Fantastic Four with your Vanessa Kirby and Pedro Pascal. Oh, this is what a good relationship should look like, with Pedro Pascal as the leader. This is what women want from their masculine figures in media. All that stuff, all of your ideas with this stuff, all of your sanitization of these characters where you go, oh, we can't have that, we can't have that, we need to steer away from that, we need to make a safe movie. That's what everyone want. Well, your movie's bombing at the box office right now. So all that stuff you were saying about where we are culturally and what your movie has to be, apparently you're not very in touch with the culture because your movie's flopping with all the changes that you made. Guys, you know what I think? I think Doomsday's going to bomb at the box office. I 100% believe that, because you've got 3 flops with characters that no one cares about going into this film. You've got the Floptastic Four, you've got the Thunderbolts, and you've got Sam Wilson and Joaquin Torres, Falcon and Captain America, or whatever they are. And you've got a concept that everyone, even the Marvel fanboys, have said they don't want: Tony Stark, Doctor Doom. There was no discussion about that post-credit scene whatsoever. No one is excited about that. It sounds like a disaster from the set where they're not even done filming yet and they still haven't written out the script. Because it sounds like something that was hobbled together in a panicked CEO meeting at Marvel because they can't bring people back. Well, I don't think that you guys have what it takes right now to make the changes that you would need to bring people back. And what are you guys going to do now? Are you seriously at this point going to go forward with an X-Men movie? Because what's going to happen with that is the same thing that's going to happen by Fantastic Four. It's going to be another assembly line Marvel movie that's really made by executives from a TV director that they can control. It's going to go out there. Maybe it won't be panned by critics, but no one's going to care. X-Men hasn't done that well in the box office in a long time. You guys would need to build them up. Their biggest film was Days of Future Past, then they ruined their brand with Apocalypse and Dark Phoenix. You guys have to build that brand back up, and you don't have the people for it right now. So are you seriously going to produce another film that's just going to go out to die because you don't have the people right now, just because you need to have something coming out next? That worked out wonderfully this year, didn't it? Where you had 3 films just because you needed to have something that came out. 3 films now that have flopped at the box office, and you're going to have a major flop with that Doomsday movie. What you need to do right now, you need to cancel some films. You need to cancel Secret Wars if you can. Fine, do another Spider-Man movie. But what's the point, throwing out more and more films because you need something at the box office? What's the point if it's diminishing returns and it keeps failing and you're actually just sucking up the franchises and characters that you still have, when if you save them for the right time and the right people, you could have something good with that? It's just unbelievable to me. And this is a problem with Hollywood at large. It's not just with Marvel, where they're constantly trying to fight what audiences actually want. Audiences say they want something, but Hollywood has their glasses on wrong, where they think that there's this culture out there that they need to appeal to that doesn't exist. And that's what they did with the marketing of the Fantastic Four movie. And it's not what anyone actually wanted. And Marvel Rivals is an example that if you had done it more that way, you probably would have had a better hit on your hands. Like, you're saying that there's no superhero fatigue because of Superman. I think Superman's terrible. However, I can say that at least it tried to appeal to the fans, the core fans of Superman, in a way more so than Fantastic Four did. So guys, Marvel is dead now. It doesn't matter if a Spider-Man movie does really well. That's Spider-Man. Marvel at large, the MCU as a brand, is dead. That people have completely rejected. Like, I'm even noticing for myself, people seem to really like it when I do videos on animation. People are getting tired of superheroes and whatnot. They don't want to hear about it anymore unless it's a controversy, I guess. And that's on them. And I can see that. I don't know. Is Kevin Feige going to finally take responsibility for any of this? This is the first movie. You don't have Disney Plus as an excuse now because it was completely separate from Disney Plus. What is your excuse for this movie? What is your assessment of why people didn't want to go see these things? Are you going to have to admit one thing? Was it the changes you made to the comics? Was it casting Pedro Pascal? Are you going to have to admit any of it was perhaps a factor in this, or any of the ways that you insulted audiences in the past? You lost another big behemoth in the culture. We already lost Star Wars. We lost it with Marvel as well. And people are moving on to find other things to enjoy because that's the purpose of entertainment. I wish that instead of screaming on my laptop right here, I wish that I was a person behind the scenes that was actually making decisions behind the scenes to be like, no, this is how you make something entertaining for people. This is how you wake people up. This is how you put a spark in your film and make people interested in it. K-pop Demon Hunters did that. It had the romance. It had the character development. It had all of that. These studios just cannot, from Disney, just cannot replicate that. And that's their problem. It's a harsh lesson for out-of-touch studios that they are losing everything. And they are losing their imprint on the culture because they are just this out of touch. And they have put yet another franchise that they could have revived and they could have made successful. They've put it out to die. They put out this entire genre out to die at this point because people are just done with superheroes at large and they don't care anymore. I was trying to think of a better way to end this, but I don't know if I can. I just got to go and look forward and find out the videos that I want to make and go forward with the movies that I want to make because this is a thing that is dead. So my script, I keep trying to update it for you guys. I'm working on revising the final scene. When the final scene is done, I will hopefully now have an announcement in a video. So thank you all for watching for that. Thank you for watching this video and this rant. I hope it wasn't too long. Thank you for supporting this channel. Well, in the wake of superheroes dying, what kind of videos would you like to see from this channel in the future? Let me know in the comments below, and I will see you guys next time.